Hi guys, I publish many novels in our Telegram. Each novel has its own exclusive Telegram channel packed with all chapters in high-quality audio. Plus, if the novel is ongoing, you'll get all future updates and releases automatically, no extra cost, no monthly payment. Just make a one-time payment via PayPal or Ko-fi and enjoy unlimited access forever. Don't miss out on the ultimate audiobook experience. Links in the description. If you can't support me financially, just like and subscribe our videos. Thank you guys, your support means a lot. And as always, enjoy Shadow. Chapter 494. The Three Idiots. 2. The House of Astrid. The child was brought into the family at the tender age of 5. Take some rest and get accustomed to your new home. Everything felt new to the child. From the warmth to the colors. New home? Just rest here. Food and water will be provided to you. The man's words were soothing. The entire scenario felt like a long dream. One that the child didn't want to extricate himself from. If you want to play with the other children, you can do so. In here, no one can harm you. To the young child, this dream, this very long dream, felt so good, especially since there were a lot of children his age. That meant that there were many friends. But they all seemed to be playing with weird stuff. Sword? Spear? M is not very good at those. He tried to interact with them in different ways. Hi. Hello. The children stopped practicing and looked at the child. Their expression soon changed. Is he okay? Maybe he's sick? No, I think I heard it from my parents before. People like him. They call them retarded. Oh, so he's stupid? Yes. They know I'm stupid. The child scratched the side of his face while laughing. Despite the poison that was flowing from the children's mouths, the child never took them at heart. No, it was more like he wasn't mentally capable of feeling hurt by their words. Hey, did your mother ditch you because you were stupid? Mama? She working a lot. When was the last time you saw her? Done, remember. Kek, he's really stupid. His mom really did leave him because he's stupid. He just smiled at the insults. What else could he do but smile? Everyone here is so friendly. He could also see just how different they were from the children outside. They smiled more. They were bigger and not all skinny. They also had families and didn't have to work. They could play all day. And they talked to him. What a nice place. This was where the child grew up. As time went by, the child did not grow smarter. While the other children grew in size, he also grew, but the teasing never stopped. Oi, clean over here. This place is a little dirty. Get cleaning. Yes. By the time he reached the age of 11, he became a full-time sweeper. He was no longer skinny, and one might even argue he was a little chubby. I'm not cold. Throughout his years in the place, he remained thankful. I'm not hungry. He cleaned where he had to clean and ate what was given to him. Everyone is nice. To the child, there was no greater joy than this. And soon, the man from the past came to meet him again. He looked no different than before, and the child's hand fell on the man's hand. Is it still as warming as past? It's been a while since we've last seen each other. It looks like you're doing better. The child did what he did best. He laughed. I'm very happy. Eat a lot. Have lots of friends and not cold. Is that so? Raising his head, the man looked around. Is that what you truly think? Yes. I see. Your eyes are still not clear. Not clear? What could the nice man mean? But that's fine. He stretched out his hand for the child. I've finally done it. I've developed it. I can now do what I promised you back then. It was warm just like the last time. But so were his words. You make me smart? I want to be smart. That's right. The man smiled, pulling the child away from where he lived his childhood. It'll make you smarter and stronger. You won't ever have to worry about food, nor won't you ever have to worry about the cold. Your eyes will open and you'll be different. As he was pulled, the child stared at the man's back. It was wide and it felt secure. This is the House of Astrid and I'm its current head. Edward Siphon Astrid. Head? I am the one who feeds everyone, who makes sure they're warm and who keeps them safe. The more they walked, the bigger the man's back became in the child's eyes. It became so large that it almost felt like it could carry an entire boulder. I've created a highly unique drug that enhances your intelligence and improves your constitution. It will allow you to absorb mana much faster than your peers, and with my assistance you will grow at an extraordinary rate. That's why from this moment forth, I want you to call me teacher. Teacher. With your newfound intelligence, you'll be able to assist me in helping everyone live happily. The man approached a trapdoor, which he quickly opened. Descending the small flight of stairs, he led the child to another room furnished with a bed, a wardrobe, and a piano. This will be where you'll stay from now on. The man walked forward. Then, he sat down on the seat next to the piano and opened the lid. Dang. He started to play a tune. It was the most wonderful tune the young child had ever heard. Soft. Catchy. Dang dang dang. And most importantly, simple. He'll have you test your skill by learning this tune. Taking his hands off the piano, the old man handed the child a small black pill. Take it. That day, for the first time in his life, the child became smarter. Hey, stop daydreaming. A powerful voice nearly shattered my eardrums as I jumped back in shock and looked ahead. When I looked around, I realized I was standing in the middle of a white void. Kalian and Caius were standing not so far from me, looking at me with weird looks. Look who finally decided to show up. When I turned my head, the old man stood not far from where we were. Can't speak? What? Are you an idiot or something? I was just about to reply when the old man waved his hand. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't? What does one extra idiot make? I did call him a lunatic before, didn't I? He's kind of a lunatic, isn't he? I think so too. Even Caius and Kalian thought the same. You know I can hear you? The old man looked at us with a frown, and we all shut our mouths. As expected, you three are idiots. For thinking you're a lunatic? Whatever, this is not why I brought you here. Like I said before, at your current skill level you three won't be lasting more than a few days. I can last so long not because I am stronger, but because I am no idiot like you three. Pointing at his temple, the old man looked at us. A mind cluttered with thoughts is a burden. Greed, love, emotions. All of it clouds your judgment. You must learn to let go of these distractions. Wait, was he trying to teach us? Are you saying that if we let go of all such thoughts we'll be able to last longer? Indeed, but it's not easy. I smiled then and closed my eyes. Suddenly, 6 locks materialized before my eyes, and one by one, my emotions began to dissipate. The surroundings started to lose color, and when I finally opened my eyes, an eerie calm had settled over everything. How is this? Maybe I saw it wrong, but the old man's face twitched at the sight of me. I felt proud, but the feeling dissipated quickly. At least until I heard his words again. Idiot. I thought they were all idiots, but some were more idiotic than others. Oh, what a bloody curse. Here I thought I had founding some people to keep my company, but in the end, I'm just going to end up taking care of 2 idiots and a bigger idiot. I let go of the skill and looked at Caius and Kalian, who nodded subtly. I don't know if it's just me, Caius, but I feel liberated hearing his words. I'm not the only one, right? No. The old man has good eyes. I can hear you too. The two pretended to not have heard me while the old man grumbled to himself. He eventually calmed down and looked at me. That's a skill, isn't it? Something you probably self-created in order to keep your emotions in check, right? Yes. He's really sharp. With just a glance, he understood. It requires a bit of mana to use and all it does is stop your emotions. Am I right? Yes. That's the problem. The old man pointed at me. Will you be able to sustain the skill for days to come? Will you be able to sustain it while you're sleeping? Eating? Shitting? That? Of course not. Why would I need to do that? Then that is pointless. The old man pointed his finger at me. What I'm asking from you is whether you can do all of the above without relying on skill. If you aren't capable of keeping your mind at utter peace, you will never be able to break to the next level. I listened carefully. From what I can tell, you've just developed a domain. What do you think is next for you? Consolidating the domain? Wrong. The next step is mastering your mind. Clearing all thoughts means achieving complete control over your body. This includes perfect command of every muscle, as well as the ability to manage the mana flowing within you and your emotions. Once you've fully clearing this stage, you'll reach the next stage and a whole new world will open up for you. Licking my lips, I asked, are you saying that by achieving this state, you'll be able to have greater control over my skills? Like emotive magic? That's correct. Then. But you're far away from reaching such a state. How far? Further than you can imagine. Not just you, all of you. The old man looked at the 3 of us before sighing. He first pointed at Caius. This idiot over here. All he thinks about is how to regain his emotions and how to be FR. The old man stopped for a second before looking at me strangely. Shaking his head, he secretly grumbled. He's kind of weird. Pitifully weird. Turning to look at Kalian, the old man shook his head. All this idiot thinks about is the children outside. That's all he's been thinking about lately. Honorable but at the same time messy. And then, the old man looked at me. His expression tilted as he tried to read my mind. I suddenly became worried. Would he find out about the fact that I used my skill on him? What about my other secrets? What? You? The old man's gaze felt even more pressuring. A woman? I froze. What did he say? Black hair? The old man's gaze turned strange and I stopped. Wait, what was he talking about? No, now even Kalian and Caius were looking at me strangely. Don't look at me. I don't know what he's talking about. TSK. The old man clicked his tongue. I can understand their thoughts, but you? He shook his head, looking all shamed. His gaze seemed to say, from noble thoughts to this. This one is hopeless. No, wait. Let me explain. I don't have time for your nonsense. The old man clapped his hands. Clap, clap. All of a sudden, the world around me started to shift. I suddenly found myself inside a dark cave with no one in sight. Kalian? Caius? It was damp, dark and cold. My heart started to beat fast. This was especially made apparent when I noticed two books sitting in front of me. One red, one blue. Picking them up, I read the titles. Or at least tried to. The title for each book was blank. However, opening the first page, there was a small description. Fast to learn, but brings a lot of pain. Slow to learn, but no pain. What is this? Gruel. Suddenly, I heard a large growl coming from the other side of the cave and I stepped back. From the pressure coming from the monster, I felt my entire body shiver. That it's very strong. I wasn't sure I could defeat it with my current capabilities. Don't worry, the monster is sealed. The old man appeared in front of me, his arms crossed. He then pointed at the books in my hand. Choose one of the books and master it. When you're done, fight the monster. If you beat it, you pass, if not, you fail. The old man didn't wait for me to finish. If you fail, you repeat. His figure disappeared. Don't keep the others waiting for long. Wait. Chapter 495. Obsessions, 1. Growl. I heard the loud and fearsome growl of the monster in the distance and hurriedly looked at the two books in front of me. Just what is he trying to do? I still couldn't understand what the old man was trying to do. Was he trying to teach us, or did he have another agenda? He did say this will help us, but looking towards the distance, I felt a little skeptical. How was defeating a monster going to help me? It looks like I don't really have a choice, do I? I saw no way out of this place unless I defeated the monster. This was some sort of weird space that the old man had created. There was no way I could break it unless I followed his instructions. Which book should I use? I alternated my gaze between the two books. Fast to learn but brings a lot of pain, or slow to learn but no pain. The answer felt almost automatic to me. I didn't think once before choosing the red book. Fast to learn, but brings a lot of pain. I can handle pain. Of this much I was certain of. As the first page turned, a sudden and intense wave of pain washed over me, nearly overwhelming my senses. It was so painful that I almost felt my entire body freeze from the pain. How could? I bit my lower lip hard, the metallic taste of iron filling my mouth. This is ridiculous. Crack. My bones cracked, and I felt my body shifting. An intense surge of mana erupted from deep within me, flooding through every fiber of my being. I could hardly breathe, let alone think. All I knew was the pain. The pain consumed every corner of my mind, shifting from the searing agony of burning alive to the sharp, concentrated pain akin to a knife's stab. I endured every imaginable pain I could think of as power surged through my body. I endured, and endured. At the same time, I flipped the pages. With each page I flipped, the more painful the experience became. My hands moved faster. And yet, when does this stop? The agony seemed endless. No matter how much I endured, the pain only intensified, growing stronger with each passing second. Despite my high mental fortitude, I found myself screaming. I found this baffling, yet it was beyond my control. My body simply reacted on its own. No, this is too much. Stop. I tried to stop it, but it wouldn't stop. I screamed again, but no words came out. I had lost my voice. The pain had completely taken over. I was suddenly overcome with despair. This pain, I had to make it stop. Growl. And then I heard it. The monster in the distance. Right, so long as I defeat it. Looking down, I saw that I had only managed to turn 10 pages, but I thought this was enough. Without a moment's hesitation, I sprinted towards the distant monster. As I drew closer, I caught a glimpse of the creature hiding in the darkness. A grotesque monster with 2 large goat horns, massive arms, and an enormous, dark body. Its head resembled that of a goat, but its body was more like that of a gorilla. It was a weird creature, but I couldn't care less about it. Swoosh! I charged directly at the creature, channeling all the power I had accumulated from reading the red book. Crack. My body crackled and howled, as threads erupted from all directions, each glinting with a faint purple light. A black film expanded from beneath me at the same time, consuming the surroundings as my domain expanded. I became even stronger. I attacked the monster with all I had. But, as my fist landed on its body, the expected reaction didn't occur. Looking up and staring at the monster's body, which was unharmed, I felt a lump form in my throat. The monster raised its large arm. Oh sure, my world turned black. At least until I woke up again. Holding onto my chest, I hastily looked around. I was back in the cave and my body was fine. What just? You died. The old man looked at me, his expression filled with disappointment. You hardly even lasted a few seconds against it. I thought you were talented, but you don't really seem to amounting to much. He sighed. And here I thought I'd get to have a few people to talk to. He waved his hand. Whatever, I'll just resign myself to the fact that there's no hope for me. I'll turn into a puppet knowing that 3 other idiots will soon join me. Hearing his words, I stopped. I was feeling quite annoyed. This is just my first try. I didn't think the pain would be this much. Just give me time to get used to it. I'll get used to it. TSK. The old man clicked his tongue and shook his head, mumbling to himself, disappointing. How disappointing. Fueled by my growing anger, I immediately moved towards the books and grabbed the red one. You think I can't do it? One thing I took immense pride in was my ability to endure pain. Failure on the first attempt didn't matter, it likely happened because I approached the monster too hastily. I needed to gather more power. I needed to suffer more. Yes, I need to suffer more. I opened the book and clenched my teeth. More. I'm hungry. Please give me some food. My brother is dying. Help. Wait a second, make a line. I have plenty of food. All Kalian could see were hands. They reached out to him in all directions, begging, pleading, and imploring him for food. The hands, they were all young children, their clothes tattered and their cheeks hollow. Their lifeless eyes mirrored the hardships of their lives, evoking memories Kalian had desperately tried to bury. Help them. I have to help them. Kalian took out whatever food he had. Make a line. I've got plenty of food. But even though he had food, it wasn't enough. There were too many children. How could he feed so many of them? No, this can't go on. In the end, Kalian sold all his most prized possessions to buy more food. He used it to feed the poor children, seeing in them a reflection of his own past. For how long had they starved? He had once endured nearly 20 days without food. The memory of that agony was still vivid in his mind, the gnawing emptiness in his stomach, the lack of energy, and the haze that blurred his perception of the world. The world felt gray, and time seemed endless. The children in front of him were the representation of his past, of his suffering. His hands started to move faster. Eat well, there's plenty of food for everyone. Kalian continued to feed the children. It was an endless cycle that only came to a stop when he no longer had anything to sell besides his clothes. He had already sold everything he owned. And yet, the children remained. Is there no more food? I guess I was too late. My family, I'm hungry. Kalian covered his mouth. He wanted to say he had more food, but he didn't. He had nothing. He was poor. And he was also hungry. But still, he couldn't care less about himself. He had to find a way to feed the children. And so, after a little bit of thought, Kalian made a decision. He was going to start robbing the rich. They're rich anyways. What does it matter if they have a little bit less gold? They're the reason why the children are poor to begin with. It's time for them to give back to the community. Thus, Kalian's life as a thief began. He robbed from the rich and used the wealth to feed the poor. Here, there's plenty of food for everyone to eat. Come, everyone, eat at your heart's content. There was nothing more fulfilling for Kalian than seeing the children eating happily. It was enough to make his cold heart smile. But actions had consequences, and Kalian learned this the hard way. Coming back one day to feed the children again, he was met with a sea of blood. Limbs scattered across the ground as faces Kalian had grown familiar with appeared lifeless on the ground. Seeing the carpet of red that formed on the ground and the corpses of the children on the ground, Kalian lost it. Thump. Falling to his knees, his eyes lost focus. He recalled the memories of the children and their smiles as he handed them food. For once, he had given them hope. But now it also became clear to him. How could? Rather than giving them hope, he had taken their life away. Drip, drip. Rain drizzled from above as 2 figures stood in the downpour. The soft patter of raindrops mingled with the silence between them, the taller man looking down at the younger one. The world around them blurred into a gray haze as Caius kept his head lowered. Repeat after me. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Say it. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. The words flowed smoothly out of Caius' mouth. He was accustomed to saying those words. It was only natural for them to flow from his mouth without much thought. That and slap. The slaps that came along with them. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Good, now say it again. On repeat. Over and over again. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again. As Caius repeated each phrase over and over again, he found himself realizing something. I am indeed a talentless shit with no emotions. The more he said the words, the more he realized the truth in them. He indeed had no emotions. He had lost them the moment he lost to Julian. All to run away from the pain. In that regard, his words held some merits to them. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Was indeed a talentless trash with no emotions. He was a failure. Standing within the white void, 3 projections appeared before the old man. He shook his head upon seeing Julian, a look of deep disappointment crossing his features. His mental fortitude is quite strong, but his obsession is greater. The old man shook his head once again. How saddening. At the rate he was going, he wasn't going to last very long. But it wasn't just him. Staring at the 2 other projections, the old man shook his head again. Idiots. They're 3 idiots. The biggest idiots he had ever seen. Arg. I can't watch this farce any longer. With a wave of his hand, everything shattered, and with soft thuds, Calian, Caius, and Julian collapsed to the ground, finding themselves back in the old man's room. Staring at them, the old man clicked his tongue. I've wasted enough energy on you 3 today. He checked the time. Reset will happen soon. Get some sleep and recover yourselves for now. Well, continue this next time. Without giving them a chance to speak, the old man walked over to his bed and pulled a blanket over himself. Within seconds of closing his eyes, he, Wark, began snoring. His snores were so loud that the entire room shook. That night, neither 3 of them managed to sleep more than a few minutes. Simply put, his snores were way too loud. Yucker. Chapter 496. Obsessions. 2. House of Myron. Are you saying that communication has been cut? Aoife's face tightened as she stared at the professor before her. The professor's expression mirrored her own, equally grim as he scrutinized the communication device in his grasp. After a while, he retrieved another communication device. Aoife recognized the communication device and pursed her lips. The model he had was a lot more powerful and had a harder time getting disrupted by spells. But it's not working. Just like the first device, it also didn't work. The expression of the professor turned even gloomier. Looking at how both devices are not working, it's likely that someone is interfering with the signal. I wouldn't have been worried if they were only capable of blocking the first device, but to even block the second? I'm afraid the situation is more serious than I anticipated. The professor was quick with his actions. Aoife, get all the cadets here in the next hour or so. Report to me if anyone is missing in the meantime. I will now try to get in contact with those of the Myron family. I'll delegate authority to you for now. Understood. As Aoife took over, she started nibbling on her lips. I don't like where this is going. Especially since Julian is missing. Whenever he goes missing, things start to warp. I need to keep control of the situation before it's too late. Flicking her head towards Kira and the others, she started to bark orders. You heard the professors. Help me out for now and get all the cadets here. Look in each room twice. If there's anyone missing, report it to me. Having said all she needed to, Aoife turned and left, leaving the others speechless as Kira looked especially annoyed. This bitch, since when did I become your dog? Despite her grumbles, Kira got to work, alongside the others. Staring at the others, Leon also left the hall and started to look for the cadets. As he stepped into the hallway, an owl suddenly appeared before him, its eyes gleaming under the dim light. Almighty hopped onto Leon's shoulder. I thought you left. Did Julian send you back? Leon turned his head and looked at the owl. Following his message about Julian's situation, the owl had directly left. Leon thought it had gone back to Julian, but seeing it here again, something must have happened. No, it's not about Julian. It's something else. As in, Almighty fixed its gaze on Leon's right pocket. Take it out. What? Confused, Leon tilted his head, but the owl's gaze never budged from his pocket. Seeing the grim look in the owl's eyes, Leon reached into his pocket and pulled out a familiar red leaf. The owl's expression fell at the sight of the leaf. Leon noticed the changes in the owl rather quickly and his body tensed. What happened? What? Squelch, squelch. Sensing something, Leon's head flicked down to see a root latch onto his foot. His expression changed dramatically just as the owl's voice echoed in his ears. When did it? I don't know when, but we've been caught by it. Caught by? Rustle, rustle. As a rustling sound filled Leon's ears, he felt the root latched onto his foot get pulled away by a mass of intertwining roots. The sensation was abrupt, and his heart raced as the owl's voice continued to echo around him. Me. When Leon turned around, His face tensed as he saw a large tree appear right behind him. You've been caught by my main body. Everything that you're seeing. It's most likely an illusion. Tack. Breaking me from my sleep was a small tug that came from my lower leg. As my eyes snapped open, I noticed that a new thread had appeared. Usher. I almost jumped back when I noticed a face appear near mine. Hey, calm down. I'm not going to bite you. It was the not-sooled man. Dang. He tapped the thread on my leg and watched it oscillate. As you can see, you're still here. I didn't lie to you. The box works. Yes. But my body felt heavier than the previous day. Not only that, but my mind also felt a little foggy. As though I didn't feel like getting up. I'm surprised you're the only one who woke up. As the old man looked beside me, I also noticed Caius and Kalian. Covered in bed sheets, the two were sleeping with frowns on their faces. Well, I'll let them sleeping for a bit more. It'll be a rough day for the two of you. Looking at the old man who bent down and rummaged through whatever he had under the bed, I suddenly had a question. Why are you helping us? Helping you? The old man took out several unopened cans. They looked to be quite old. Well, you can say that I'm helping you. He stood up and stretched his back. But it's not like I'm helping you for any noble reason. You can say I'm doing this for myself too. For yourself? It's been quite lonely these past few days. So you're doing this because you were lonely? Haha. The old man laughed and reached for a can opener. It isn't that simple. I'm also doing this because I might be able to finding the one responsible for all of this with you help. My brows shot up in surprise. You have a lead? For a while now. But I can't do it by myself. That's why helping you. It all made more sense to me as an acidic smell suddenly filled the air, prompting my brows to furrow. When I looked at the cans, I immediately reached out. Actually, about the food. I waved my hand and displayed several fresher cans, alongside several species and herbs. Wah! This was the first time I saw the old man look surprised, and I felt somewhat proud by the fact. How did you do that? It's a secret. TSK. The old man clicked his tongue in annoyance. I don't like people who keep secrets. It reminds me too much of the slippery roebugs from the other houses. What's that? I brought my hand to my ear. It looks like you don't want the food. Well, that's all right. I guess we'll stick with what you've brought. The old man's mouth wiggled. On second thought, those bugs were more annoying. More? Are you saying that I'm annoying? Ha! The old man forced a smile that wavered between joy and sorrow. His face as scrunched up as I had ever seen it. Not at all. I held my laugh back. You don't look sincere. You're pushing too much. I opened the can and started smelling the contents. Wah! It smelled a lot better than whatever he had. Gurgle. And as expected, even his stomach thought so. You? The old man wiped the corner of his mouth as I took out a spoon and prepared to add the salt. Are you some sort of demon? No, why would I be? You're the one who… Fine. The old man cursed while holding his stomach. You aren't annoying. You're the most unannoying guy I've ever meeting. Are you happy? I guess. I thought about teasing the old man more, but I just held myself back. Who knew what he would do if I pushed him too much? But even so, who would have thought there'd be such a weird side to this lunatic? Since you're being so honest, I guess I don't mind. Stop for a second. A hand suddenly reached out from behind me, stopping me from handing the can to the old man, who sharply raised his head to look at Kalian. Ignoring the old man's gaze, Kalian looked at me. Give me your food. Why? I'm cooking. You are? But this is… No. Kalian looked serious. No. He snatched the salt from my hand and gave it to Caius, who took it without making a single noise. The hell? Kalian then looked at the old man. We just saved your life. Without elaborating, Kalian snatched the ingredients from my hand and extended his free hand. Do you have a pan? I do. Give it. After seeing his stare, I could only quietly purse my lips and hand him a pan. As I did, the old man appeared next to me while mumbling, Is that a relic? How did you do it? I didn't say anything and just waited for Kalian to finish cooking. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait for long, and he presented each of us a bowl of food. I wanted to say it was bland, but when I turned my head to see the old man's expression, I decided to close my mouth. Taking another spoonful, the old man covered his face. How can something be this good? He looked really happy with his meal. I tried again, but the taste never changed. Still bland. Burp. To mark the end of his meal, the old man burped out loud and I winced slightly. The smell. It was awful. It's been a while since I last eaten something so good. Rubbing the top of his mouth, the old man stretched his back and turned his attention towards us. A smile suddenly surfaced across his lips. It was a creepy smile that made my stomach churn. Now then, his heavy hand fell on my head. It's time we continue what you guys did yesterday. My consciousness faded right after that and I appeared before a familiar cave. I'm back here again. Looking around, I saw the same 2 books as before. I cursed inwardly, moving towards them. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to grab the blue book instead. No pain, right? I wanted to try this. Growl. In the distance, the monster's growl echoed. Yeah. I waved my hand and opened the blue book. I wanted to see what the difference between the 2 books. And I immediately noticed the differences upon opening the book. Unlike the red book, I felt no pain upon opening this one. In fact, I felt completely fine, which was odd. However, if there was one thing to note, it was that the strength increase was a lot slower. The pages also felt heavier and they were much harder to turn. No, it was more than just slow. This is beyond slow. I couldn't afford to waste time like this. Therefore, after a little bit of thought, I tossed the blue book and grabbed the red book. Mastering this was going to be a lot easier and faster for me. This was my specialty after all. And so, whack, I endured pain, unlike anything I had ever felt before. It hurts. I screamed. I thrashed. HHH, arc. And I endured. All for the hope of reading all the pages of the red book. So long as I read them all, I'd be able to beat the monster and be done with this trial. Chapter 497. Obsessions. 3. Pain. What was pain? Was it just the physical or emotional distress that arose in response to an event such as injury or death? Or was there more to it? I wasn't too sure myself. All I knew was that I'd have to experience pain in order to become stronger. This was the fastest method I had available. Flip, flip. Each time I turned a page, I felt myself become stronger. But at the same time, I also felt an unbearable amount of pain. There were a total of 158 pages. Each page brought a new wave of pain, yet with every surge of agony, I felt my strength grow. It was as if the suffering was a catalyst for my power, serving as some sort of anchor that prevented me from going insane. It also made me think about pain. What was it and why did I make myself go through it? This was obviously the fastest method and I was used to this type of abuse. I wasn't unfamiliar with pain. In the last moments of my life, I could distinctly recall the pain I felt then. The pain with each breath and the pain of just trying to keep my eyes open. I could recall all of it. But what I could recall best wasn't the physical pain. No, it was the emotional pain. The pain that came from abandoning my brother, my one and only remaining family. The pain that came from knowing I wouldn't amount to anything besides being a regular salesman. The pain that came from realizing that I probably didn't have a tomorrow. The pain of not being able to have hope. The pain of, what page am I on? Flip. 153. I was close. My hand shook and my vision blurred. As the pain intensified, I began to recall the times I had pushed myself to the brink of exhaustion. From the mental torment I endured to unlock my first spell, to the emotional suffering I inflicted upon myself to break free from the illusionary world that belonged to Pebble. It was also then that I realized something. I put myself through a lot of pain, didn't I? Flip. 154. I tried to deny it, but there was no denying it. All I knew was pain. I had suffered through so much of it that I reached a point where I didn't mind going through it. Flip. 155. My breathing became rauch, each gasp feeling like a desperate struggle. I felt suffocated as my muscles spasmed uncontrollably. A little bit more. I clenched my fist in silence. A surge of unprecedented power coursed through my veins, electrifying every nerve in my body. This newfound strength was unlike anything I had ever experienced before, giving rise to a euphoric feeling. And also served as a reminder to me. Pain was rewarding. I put myself through pain because I knew that on the other side of the pain was my goal. Yes, this isn't the wrong path. For a moment, I almost doubted myself. But it was clear to me. Without pain, I wouldn't be where I am. Therefore, looking down at the red book, my resolution strengthened and I flipped to the next page. Flip. 156. I was now 2 pages away from completing the book. 2 more pages until I could finally defeat the monster and for the pain to disappear. As I felt the power surge back into my body, I knew I hadn't been wrong. I knew this was the right method. Flip. 157. Walk. I screamed my heart out. Though it was all an illusion, it almost felt like all the bones in my body had shattered while fire surrounded me, burning every part of my body alive. This pain, it was too much. How could a human go through such pain? Why would someone even make themselves go through such pain? No, it's fine. I'm almost there. Looking at the book in my hand, I reached for the last page. So long as I turned that page, everything would stop. Yes, last page. Reaching out for it, the page felt heavy. Heavier than all the other pages combined. My muscles strained as I tried to push the last and final page. Once I turned this page, everything would... No, wait. Just as I was about to turn to the very last page, I stopped. In a moment of clarity, I realized something. Aren't I just repeating everything that I've been doing up until now? All of a sudden, everything felt wrong. Do you finally realize it? A voice whispered in my ear right after I stopped. What is pain? Suffering. Reaction to stimuli. Pain was your obsession. You subject yourself to pain because it's your comfort zone. You've experienced so much pain that it becomes your first thought whenever you want to tackle a problem. I thought back to the past. Could I have handled a lot of my previous problems in the past differently? Could I have unlocked my first spell without torturing myself? Could I have tackled the situation in the midspace differently? Could I have grown stronger without pain? I didn't truly know the answer, but you don't hate yourself. I don't. But pain makes you think you hate yourself. I know. Let go of it. But I'm almost there. If I just turned the next page. Let go of your obsession. My hand shook. Staring at the page in front of me that was about to turn to the last page, I felt hesitant. I didn't want to let it go when I was so close to the goal. I didn't want to use the blue book. I didn't want to wait so long. Boo. Plaque. I let go. Immediately, power sapped away from my body and I felt weak again. Yes, weak. But despite feeling weak, my mind felt clear. Taking one last look at the red book, I closed my eyes and tossed it to the side while picking up the blue book. Opening it, power surged through my body. It was slower, but it didn't hurt. I could think. Flip. Time passed. I didn't know how long passed. I just knew that a lot of time passed. Perhaps a day had passed, or even more. Even so, in those few days that passed, I remained absorbed in the book in front of me. Each page felt like a chore, as though I was reading a page with no paragraphs and just long lines of text. But I was making progress. My strength was increasing. And just like the previous book, it only had 158 pages. Flip. 158. I'm done. Staring at the last page, I felt empty. That's it? I finished? The experience was entirely different from the red book where each page felt incredibly agonizing to read through. This felt a lot easier and refreshing to some extent. Growl. Lifting my head to look into the distance, I placed the book to the side and stood up. Should I test the fruit of my patience? No, more than anything, I just wanted to show the old man that I wasn't an idiot. That I could accomplish the task he had given me. Growl. Yes, I'm coming. Taking a step forward, I moved toward the monster. Just like before, it was gruesome to behold. The twisted goat head, the sickly, mottled skin that seemed to ripple with every movement, and its two large horns. However, unlike before, I didn't feel as pressured nor did I feel as rushed. I could defeat this monster. At my own pace. Growl. With a deafening growl, the monster charged at me, each of its steps causing the surrounding cave to tremble as if it were on the brink of collapse. Seeing its large figure charge at me, I waited until the very last moment before acting. A green orb appeared in my vision as I lightly kicked the ground and jumped up. Bang. The surroundings trembled as the monster's horns crashed into the spot I had been just a few moments prior, sending a shockwave through the air. Grua. Recovering swiftly, the monster let out a furious howl, its head snapping toward me as I floated just above it, out of its reach. It was just about to move when I stepped into the air and my body suddenly plummeted down fast. Bang. Landing right on the monster's body, I heard a faint cracking sound as the monster let out a howl of pain. What? But I wasn't done. Closing my eyes, I felt something shift beneath my feet, spreading outwards and coating every inch of the cave with a dark film. The surroundings seemed to dissolve, fading into the oppressive blackness. Yuck. Quiet. As the monster was about to howl again, a large purple hand emerged from the darkness, clamping its mouth shut. But that wasn't the only hand that appeared. Moments later, several massive purple hands emerged from beneath the monster, grasping and clamping down on every part of its body, pinning it in place, rendering it completely immobile. The monster tried to thrash around, but it was no use. With each passing second, its eyes grew more and more slack. That was when I leaped off the monster's body, moving silently in front of it. I stopped just before its head, meeting its gaze as I pressed my finger gently against the top of its forehead. As I did, I couldn't help but recall a certain question. What is pain? My old friend, the only companion I've ever known, my refuge, my escape, and my obsession. That's why I have to let go. Show. Goodbye. EXP plus 171%.